Hello and welcome back to the Well-Fed Business Podcast. And I'm with the Eveable Genius, as always. This is still the best and most entertaining business podcast going. And today we're going to be talking about getting ghosted, and not in a dating sense. I'm sure many of our listeners are unfortunate enough to be on sites such as Bumble, Tinder, and blindly direct message girls on Instagram just to be ghosted at the very last second. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the business version of ghosting, which is almost identical, but rather than not getting your load off, you don't get paid.
Let's be very clear about what we're talking about before we get into it. And that is, we get ghosted, or I get ghosted, in the sense that I will send a reply to someone, say in response to a question or something, and they won't reply to me. That's being ghosted, but that's fine. What we're being very clear about here, in true Socratic terms, meaning we're defining what we're talking about, giving someone some kind of value, moving the needle for them, progressing things in their businesses, leaving them better off than they were before, in the expectation of having some reward or remuneration for it and not getting it. Somebody asks you for a proposal, so you do work for free, you actually materially improve their situation, and they don't get back to you even with a reply. Or you work for them and you submit an invoice and the invoice doesn't get paid. I've had invoices ignored and been ghosted before, quite recently, in fact, as soon as June, 6K invoice. But the thing was, that invoice was raised after a consultation call for which the person paid. So that wouldn't count as being ghosted because I've been paid for the time I put in to the proposal, so to speak. So that's what we're talking about. Not just being ignored by people, being ignored when they owe you something, either monetarily or otherwise, in return. That never happens to me. That never happens to anyone who takes my advice, by design. Now, to turn that around and say, okay, why do other people get ghosted? It's fucking simple, really. They get ghosted primarily because they don't have a process or rules and boundaries in place to stop it from happening, because that's what it involves. And the rule that will stop you from getting ghosted is I have three things I get new mentoring clients or one-on-one clients to do straight away. And it's the very first thing we talked about in Core Control as well. It's in First Blood, the very first video after the introduction. And that is, raise your prices, stop working for free, and get paid up front. The raising your prices doesn't really come into being ghosted, but the getting paid up front and not working for free certainly does. People might come to me with an inquiry, and I will ask my triage questions to answer, at first superficially, those three questions. Can I help? Do I want to help? Are you willing and able to pay me for my help? And that last one is usually answered, not always, but usually answered by saying, okay, from what you've said, it seems like we could be a fit, or I can help you. Next thing to do is have a consultation call. It lasts about an hour. It's £250 plus VAT. You get your money back. If I can't help you, we're not working together. And at the end of it, you'll have a blueprint guaranteed to take you from where you are now to where you want to be. All right. If they won't do that, if they ghost me after that, fine. It's cost me nothing but a few minutes of my time. So everything starts with a paid consultation. Well, that takes rules and boundaries. Yeah. Such as they have to say yes to all these three questions, or the answer to these three questions has to be yes before I do any work for them. Can I help? Do I want to help? Are you willing to pay me? Other rules would be the funds have to be, raising the invoices is just the first step. Too many freelancers and other business owners I know raise the invoice, and all of a sudden they call this person a client. That person is not a client until that money is in your bank account, cleared funds. They're just not. They're a prospect, and often they're not even a prospect, because somebody just randomly saying, I'm interested in what you do, is not a prospect. For all you know, it's a bait and switch. Now, they're interested in having a chat with you because they actually want to sell you something. That's the main reason people get ghosted. They don't have rules and boundaries. And it's not a trivial exercise. It's not as simple as just saying, oh, I'm going to charge up front. I think this is where people struggle, because charging up front is a simple decision. I don't work until I'm paid. But then how you convey that and how you get it over and what your processes look like. And then having the courage and the mettle and the spine to stick to it when you don't have much money, and the temptation is to drop your prices, lower your standards, change your process in the vain hope that somebody might actually buy from you. One of the reasons I suspect people resist qualifying prospective clients, and indeed charging up front, is they are afraid of hearing a no. Because when they get that first inquiry come in, the little burst of excitement, I get it too. Oh, great, this could be interesting. But also, I can divorce myself from it and not get carried away, whereas a lot of people can't. And I guess if you are, say, I don't know, you could be a single mother and you've got kids to feed, and it's coming towards the start of the month and you've not made your own salary yet, and you've got a mortgage to pay or rent, and you've got food to put on the table, you've got kids' expenses at school coming up, and okay, they don't have to go on the school trip. You don't want to embarrass your children by not sending them on the school trip and that kind of thing. And it can be tempting to say, okay, let's just this once, I'm going to break my own rules and lower my guard and just hop on a call because it could go somewhere and it's only 15 minutes of my time. Well, the thing is, if you are not skilled at triage on the phone, Connor, if you're not skilled at triage on the phone, what you actually do is you get pulled into a consultation. And the danger of a consultation, I mean, it's not just a matter of you working for free. It's actually scuppering your chances of selling to them, because what often happens, very, very often, and the more you give on the consultation, the free consultation, the more likely this is, and then the more likely it is for you to be ghosted when you actually want some money for this shit, is you give great value to prove your worth, and they will go away. And I've had people say this to me before I learned the ropes myself. Say, yeah, I'm just going to go away and give that a try. And I'll come back to you if I need help. The thing is, they will go away and they might even be making notes. So expect them to understand everything I've told them in, say, a 30-minute call and sketched out a system. For them to go away and implement it without any further help, it's just laughable. So what they will do is they'll go away and half-ass this project, maybe miss out the most important bits because they're icky and uncomfortable, and then it won't work. So what happens then? I've wasted my time. They've wasted their time too, but I've wasted my time. I've basically talked the person out of buying from me. My duty to my clients and my prospects, and it's not a client, it's not paid, but my duty to the market, if you like, is to solve their problems. But I've not even done that. And then even worse, this person will go away and might privately say to his mates, yeah, I spoke to that EBG bloke. He talks a good game, but it didn't work. I did what he said and it didn't work. But he didn't do what I said at all. He did a bit of what I said. So I don't do it.
This only ever happened to me once back in the days when I was running Facebook ads. It was a free call, obviously, and I wasn't particularly well versed in sales then. So rather than it being a proper sales call, it was more of a fucking demonstration. Look how big my cock is. Look how fucking fantastic and smart I am. I laid out the system, what I was going to do. I gave them far too much. I gave them so much that they thought they could do it themselves. I gave them the budget, how long I was going to run each thing for, what retargeting ads were going to hang off each bit. And they went and they said exactly that. I'm going to give that a go. And if it works out, well, then I would have made enough money to pay you. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Well, I've double fucked up because you couldn't even afford to pay me in the first place. I was 17 at the time. Leave me alone. So they went away. They did this, John. They don't understand the subtle details because I saw their funnels. Like I know how to look at the ads people are running. So I went and looked at what they did it. And they didn't have all the subtleties in there that are vital. And there's so many subtleties inside the Facebook ad account. But they then started saying, Facebook ads don't work, do they? They didn't even slag me off. They just slagged off the whole entire industry. Running ads on Facebook don't work. It's a load of crap, that is.
So the thing about ghosting is if you get ghosted, and like I say, the definition is they owe you something. It's entirely your own fault because you haven't insisted on being paid, or to be more accurate, getting quid pro quo up front. If you don't get paid a deposit, at least a deposit up front, and then you do the work and you submit the invoice and you get ghosted and they don't pay, that's your fault because you've worked for free. You've worked for free on a promise they will pay you after. You've done no due diligence. You've effectively acted as a credit broker. You have lent them money in the form of your time with no due diligence, no security, and just a vague promise of being paid, often without even a written contract. And yeah, sure, you can take them to court and things, but even if you win, if they can't or won't pay, if they go bust, you've lost your money. And are you really going to go to court for 300 quid? It's much easier just to say, no, you pay up front. If you find yourself working on a system where you pay a deposit, they pay a deposit, say for half, and you did all the work, so they owe you half. Well, you tell them, Mr. Client, I've finished the work. You pay me the rest of my invoice and I'll deliver it. You don't send it to them and then expect them to pay you. And you make that clear right at the front. Or you use an escrow service. Or you have staged payments. So the project is going to take me 3 months. You pay me at the beginning, end of month 1, end of month 2. I'll deliver at the end of month 3. If they won't do that, then again, they're trying to cheat you or something. Because often what happens is, especially now, guys, you really need to understand this, especially now. People are having problems with cash flow. They want you to help them grow their business, and they're hoping, and they're being honest about this in their own minds. They're not actually trying to cheat you, but they don't have the 5 or 10K, whatever it is, to pay you right now. And they're thinking, shit, if this guy helps us, this copywriter, this marketing guy helps us, we'll make enough money in the 3 or 4 months of the project to pay him at the end. That's probably what they genuinely want to do. If they can't do that at the end of the project, what will they do? They'll just ghost you. So get paid up front. If you think it's mercenary or unfriendly or unkind or anything else, I can't help you with that.
I'd expect these people to be having words with local Tesco and saying to Tesco, I only want to pay you for this pasta when I eat it.
The idea of being paid up front or paying for things up front is not new. You do it at the supermarket. You collect your stuff. You don't leave without paying. Nando's, McDonald's, Travelodge, some other even higher end hotels in London will take payment up front. Booking.com often you can pay up front. Some of the establishments insist on it. Airbnb. So it's not new. And people might then say, well, yeah, but Tesco and supermarkets, all the places I mentioned, they're mostly fairly low end. But I'm a high end thing. And for people who want quality things, so you probably wouldn't pay up front, say, the Fat Duck, Heston Blumenthal's restaurant. You probably wouldn't pay up front.
You do actually.
Do you? Oh, okay, fine. Well, that kind of proves my point then.
So you pay up front for the ticket, and then obviously you order wine and extras whilst you're there, and then you pay again.
How many people do you think drive out of a Ferrari dealership with a car and not paid for it? Or a Rolls Royce? Please don't tell me that high-end places work on this trust, because they don't. How many times do you move into a house? I don't care how big or small it is. How many times do you move into a house without having paid for it? Even if it's through a mortgage. The funds transfer. They won't even give you the keys until the fucking things you've completed. Okay? How often do you rent a house? Again, big or small, without actually paying the deposit and the rent? So please don't try and tell me, oh yeah, but more prestigious places, you pay in arrears. Sometimes, yes, but it's not necessarily so. And you ain't high-end anyway. Most of you ain't high-end. You're not prestigious. Same as us. You're just business people.
You're a donkey, especially if you're not high-end and you're not getting paid up front, because there will be a percentage of people that don't pay you. And you probably have never thought of this, but the people that don't pay you, well, that eats into the margins of the people that do pay you. So say you don't charge very much, you already have tight margins. One person that doesn't pay you might take your margins down from 20% to 18%. That's 2% of your margin just lost off the top. And that's 2% of turnover. That'll have a disproportionate effect on the loss of profits.
Here's something everyone should be doing. And again, this is something quite advanced, which I won't normally teach to people who are not paying me, but I'm in a good mood today. You need to be charging enough and so much. The occasional client comes along who pisses you off to the extent you say, fuck this. Here's your money back for what I've done so far. Go away. It's almost like an insurance policy. I mean, that might happen with only 1 in every 10 or 20 clients, maybe not even as that frequently as that. But you need to be charging everyone enough so that when that happens, you can do it without question. That will massively increase your reputation. It will massively increase your integrity. And it will allow you, paradoxically, massively to increase your prices elsewhere. Because you can say, you fuck me off and I give you money back and you can go and do this yourself. When you get known for that kind of attitude, people won't do it because they're afraid of losing you.
And the right people will get pulled towards you because they'll be like, fuck me. If he's so good, he can give someone 50 grand back and tell them to suck their cock. He must be pretty fucking good at what he does.
To get started with us, well-fed-freelancer.com. Get the book. I'm not sure how much longer it's going to be on sale because as soon as the new book comes out, I suspect we'll probably put it in the cupboard. So well-fed-freelancer.com. It's £5. You get a load of bonuses, 9 or 10 bonuses. And if you don't like it for any reason or no reason at all, anytime between now and the end of the universe, as long as the business is going anyway, we'll give you your money back double over. So it's £10 plus a free pizza. I don't know what to say because, you can lead horses to water, but you can't make them drink.
I think that's a beautiful place to leave it. Stay safe.
Stay inside, wash your hands, and please don't shit on your fingers.